Hello and welcome to the Seattle Area Independent Schools Virtual College Summit. Thank you for joining us today. We have a few housekeeping announcements before we get started on our panel session, which is Colleges in a Consortium. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. And this is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions. This presentation, as well as all other presentations, are being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website where you registered. We hope that you'll enjoy watching and reviewing them later. I'd now like to turn our presentation over to our session facilitator, Bart Gummery. Bart, take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bart Gummery. I'm from Eastside Prep. Welcome to all our SAIS participants. So glad that you can be here. This session is entitled Colleges in a Consortium. I think it's a great topic. I think that many of you are aware that colleges operate in a variety of different consortiums, but I think this will bring much more context and texture as to how that consortium may be different in each place and how it may facilitate a much richer experience for you once on campus. We have three presenters, Courtney Best from Gettysburg, Tom Campbell from Pomona, and Nicole Reynolds from Mount Holyoke. They will each reintroduce themselves at their point, but starting us off is going to be Courtney, and she will speak first. So Courtney, off to you.
Thanks, Bart. And I'm going to share a few slides with you just to give you a visual. But my name's Courtney Best, and I am from Gettysburg College in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, but I live here in Vancouver, Washington. So I'm not too far, and I am your person. So if you need absolutely anything in this process, please feel free to get in touch with me. My email's on this first slide. I also love this picture because you get to see a little bit of campus. It's a lot of green space, a lot of brick buildings, and surrounding our campus is the world famous historical battlefield of Gettysburg. So our students get to go for runs, and about 20 minutes to the west, you can see the Appalachian Trail. So if you need to get off campus and go for a hike, you can do that as well. A lot of our students from Washington love our proximity to all the major cities on the East Coast. So for you all flying directly in from Seattle to Baltimore or Washington, D.C., those would be the closest airports. And we have a shuttle that picks you up every day, every 3 hours. This is for you, for your friends, for your family members visiting. And the other schools that I'll be talking about in a little bit in our Central Pennsylvania Consortium, that's Gettysburg College, Franklin and Marshall, which is about an hour and 15 minutes in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And then we have Dickinson College, which is about 40 minutes north, and that's closer to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, but Carlisle, Pennsylvania. So we are the Central Pennsylvania Consortium. So that's what, when I'm talking about us in a little bit, this is where we're located. And again, we have access to all these great major cities on the East Coast, and we use them for our courses, for field trips, for our student clubs and organizations. So that's a big part of who we are. We have 2,600 students from all over the world. We have over 65 majors, minors, and special programs, and we really give you the first 2 years to figure it out. So you can take a bunch of courses and then really kind of navigate what you want to major in, double major in, possibly have a double minor. Some things that are a little unique at Gettysburg, we do have an honor code. There are only about 18 colleges and universities that still have this really active honor code. It's student run, and it kind of sets the level of integrity and respect for all of your classes and the relationships you have with the faculty as well as other students. And we do have a first-year seminar program, so that is connected to your first-year housing experience. Very small classes, so a lot of similar to your experiences that you're having now. About 17 is the average class size at Gettysburg, and our students are very involved. So 120 clubs and organizations, all student-run, and students tend to balance 4 classes in a given semester and about 3 or 4 clubs and organizations. We're Division III for athletics, and we're good. And we also play the other schools in our consortium. We're in the Centennial Conference, and it's Haverford, which sadly they couldn't be here, but Haverford, Swarthmore, Dickinson, Gettysburg, Franklin, and Marshall. These are all great Division III schools that have the really strong liberal arts and sciences as well. We have about 60% of our students that study abroad for a semester or more, so that's a big piece of who we are as well. And we have a couple special programs that are more unique than some of the other schools in our consortium. We have the Eisenhower Institute, which is our Institute for Public Policy and Leadership, and it's our direct connection to Washington, D.C. And then we have a Sunderman Conservatory of Music. And so any students who want to major or minor in music, or just simply have over 100 student-run performances throughout the year, it's a great place for music. We'd like to brag about our alumni being all over the world, but the big reason for students coming from Washington to come to the East Coast is 98% of our students have a job or in graduate school within a year of graduation. So that career piece is something we talk about, not only on our campus, but in the consortium as well. How can we prepare our students and give them the skills that they need to be successful in life? And then this is my final Gettysburg slide, but I have a couple other consortium slides, but this is the information you need to know about Gettysburg. We are common application. We have scholarships, merit scholarships from $20,000 to $40,000 a year. We are really about civic engagement and social justice. So we added a new scholarship last year on the Eisenhower Scholarship for Civic Engagement. And this requires you to answer a few extra questions. And then we do have a STEM scholars and a music scholarship that does require a couple extra questions, but no supplement. So you're welcome. We do have great financial aid, and here are our deadlines. But the consortium we're in, so Gettysburg College, Franklin and Marshall College, and Dickinson College got together back in 1968. And we, as institutions, we decided, we are these very strong, small liberal arts schools, but there are programs that we can do together to make us stronger and really give our students access to more. So we all came together, and it's for not just the students, but for the faculty and the administrators, and also the people living in the surrounding communities. All of our schools are located in kind of more town-like settings, and some Franklin and Marshall has a little bit more urban feel, but Dickinson, Carlisle, and Gettysburg have more of a small town feel. And so even the people around in our communities benefit from this. But what you'll find, our students really benefit from the courses. They can take classes at any of the three colleges. And what we find, there's stronger overlaps in the sciences and the humanities. Summer courses, this is something that Gettysburg only offers online courses, but Dickinson and Franklin Marshall offer some in-person summer courses. So that's a great benefit for our students. We have a lot of grants available, not just for our students, but for our faculty. So we will have blended learning workshops where faculty, and there's something called the CPC Mellon Foundation grant up to $6,000, where faculty and students get to kind of develop new intellectual endeavors, whether it's coming up with a new course. Like this year, one of our Gettysburg faculty is coming up with a new course in media and cinema studies, and they're focusing on kind of the cultures and languages across the curriculum. So this is just another piece to elevate that learning that goes on in the classroom. Another thing is we have annual conferences where we'll collaborate. So in the past, we've done women, gender, and sexuality conferences, talking about politics, activism, and elections. Africana Studies held a conference, and they had a professor from Cornell, and we were really talking about how the history of the free slave in Pennsylvania and how that was perceived back then. And there's also the CPC astronomers meeting, and this happens every couple of years, where we'll have speakers that come up from NASA, because we are so close to DC, and Greenbelt is where NASA is headquarters are. And so all the physics students and all the physics faculty from all three schools will get together. there's this environmental impact. I think all of our schools are kind of moving towards this sustainability. And so all of our schools in the next 12 years will be carbon neutral. And that is something we've come up with. We've shared recycling. There's a national competition called Recycle-Rama, and all of our schools are always in the top 20, top 25, because we really get excited about recycling. We also have our faculty, like our provost and our presidents, that are getting together, if not quarterly, they might be getting together 5 or 6 times a year, but just talking about what's going on our campuses and how can we really elevate that for our students. Outside of this, other programs you're going to see in collaboration. We have an ROTC program with Dickinson, the Centennial Conference, as I mentioned before, for Division III athletics. We all play against each other. Some of the additional partnerships that Gettysburg has outside of this, but I wanted you to know about, are we have a partnership with Johns Hopkins for our Masters in Nursing, and we have a Masters in Human Resources with Rutgers. So our students will take our business, organization, and management studies major, and they can go directly into the Masters in Human Resources at Rutgers. And then we have the 3-2 program for dual degree engineering. And those partners are Columbia, Washington University, RPI, Rensselaer Polytechnical Institute, and University of Pittsburgh. It's direct acceptance into Washington University and University of Pittsburgh. Our students do have to apply for the Columbia and RPI, but most of our students, if they're getting into Columbia, they're going there. So that is our consortium kind of in a nutshell, but it really does benefit not just the students, but the faculty, and it elevates all of our academic programs to the next level. So I can't wait to answer any questions that you might have, but now I get to turn it over to my friend Tom from Pomona.
And friends we are indeed. Courtney and I have presented for many an SAIS program in the past, so I'm glad that we get to do it virtually. Super exciting. So hello everyone, my name is Tom Campbell. I use he, him pronouns. I'm an assistant dean of admissions at Pomona College in lovely, sunny Claremont, California. So I'm actually tuning in right now though from Brunswick, Maine, which is where my family lives. So about as far as you can get in the continental US to Claremont, but very glad to be here during peak fall leaf peeping season. So what I'm here to tell you about a little bit today is the Claremont Colleges. So Pomona is actually the founding and largest member of the Claremont Colleges. And I'll get into the individual schools in just a second, but I just kind of wanted to briefly introduce to you the history of this consortium and what makes it unique, and kind of what it's all about, because definitely it is a very unique system that we're able to offer to students. And there aren't really quite too many places that look like it in the United States in terms of the intentional side-by-side consortium nature that it does represent. So this is actually a picture of the college gates at, oh, I think there's some timings on this. This is actually a picture of the college gates at Pomona that says, let only the eager, thoughtful, and reverent enter here. And that's a big part of kind of Pomona's philosophy as an institution. But it wasn't until the 1920s that Pomona decided to grow and expand to serve a wider population of students. So that's actually where Pomona College's 4th president, James Blaisdell, came up with the idea of the Claremont Colleges, which, as you can see from this quote, was meant to be a collection of small different colleges that utilize resources and collaborate together, that all are within the same square mile, radius of land in Claremont, California. So that is how Claremont came to be. And the 5 undergraduate schools are primarily what I'll be talking about today. They are Pomona College, which I represent, Scripps, Claremont McKenna, Harvey Mudd, and Pittsburgh College. We're all nationally acclaimed institutions that have great outcomes, great research opportunities, internships, great liberal arts foundations, amazing locations because we're all right next to each other in the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains. So very sunny and shiny and lovely. But definitely we all have kind of our own unique flavor and thing that we bring into the fold that makes for a really unique college experience. So as you can see here, Pomona is located, and the Claremont Colleges are located 35 miles inland from downtown Los Angeles. So that makes for a really great location for you as a college student. You're, right in the foothills of the mountains, but you have LA, which is just an hour train ride away. You have the Orange County beaches just south of us. You have the desert of Joshua Tree, and students, engage with this location very tangibly during their 4-year experience, whether that's, backpacking at Yosemite or any of those kind of opportunities. Obviously, the city of Los Angeles that you see here, this is a view from Echo Park, which is one of my favorite places in LA to go. Super beautiful view of the skyline, as you can see. That is a huge benefit for our students in terms of, fun, recreation, Staples Center, Santa Monica Pier, Grand Central Market for some amazing food, but also research, internships, right? The things that LA, which is the second largest city in the United States, second most diverse city, leader in so many different industries and initiatives, not just the entertainment industry in Hollywood, but medicine, tech, the arts, finance and consulting. LA really does offer that to our students in a really exciting way. But if you zoom in a little more into the intimate little city of trees and PhDs, that is Claremont, California. It is a more walkable college town, so we're not right in the heart of LA, but it is a resource for our students. And the consortium is definitely something and Claremont is definitely a location where you have this kind of college town feel to it. Lots of boba shops, thrift stores, all the kind of great college towny things are right there in Claremont for our students. This map gives you a better understanding of kind of the consortium in terms of its logistics. So as you can see, they are all 5 undergraduate schools here in Claremont. There's 2 graduate schools as well, but we all have kind of a different history and founding. So as you heard about Pomona, I'll get to this in a second, but the benefit of having all 5 of these campuses together is that you can take classes at any of the 5, you can eat at any of the dining halls, right? So it really is very hands-on and engaged. Pomona is the founding member of the Claremont Colleges, founded in 1887. As you can see here, it is the largest of the Claremont Colleges and has the widest range of majors. The reason being is because they wanted to create a college of the New England type on the West Coast. So that's really kind of Pomona's thing, is really kind of being the truest liberal arts college of the 5 undergraduate Claremont colleges and offering the widest range of majors, programs, and opportunities for students in terms of a really strong sense of breadth. There's not really a thing that Pomona is really known for. But in the 1920s, when the other 4 schools came into the fold, they really were meant to solve a societal challenge of that particular time period. So Scripps College, as you can see here, was the first school to join into the consortium and was really galvanizing around the women's suffrage movement, first wave feminism, and it's still an all women's college today. Definitely, it is a school that traditionally has been known for the arts and humanities, but has very much expanded beyond those roots to now have popular majors such as biology, media studies, psychology, right? But that identity of being a women's college is still very potent and present in their leadership, in their structure, in what they really celebrate as an institution. The next college that was founded, we skipped a decade in the 1930s because that was the advent of the Great Depression. So there was no money to found a school. But Claremont McKenna came into the fold in the 1940s, and that was meant to serve men who had come back from World War II as veterans to use their college education that was granted to them by the GI Bill. So Claremont McKenna College, which was founded by a Pomona alum, fun fact, really had a big emphasis on economics, government, and the professions, learning by doing, because that was a learning style that very much correlated with the lived experiences of soldiers who had to learn what it was like to be a soldier when you were drafted into the military. So Claremont McKenna, we really credit them for pioneering experiential learning outside the classroom, which is something that all the Claremont colleges have now, but it's a big part of Claremont McKenna's history and legacy as an institution. The next college in the consortium is Harvey Mudd College, which was founded during the space race. So big emphasis on advancing the United States as a dominant world power through science and technology. Sputnik 1, competing with the Soviet Union, and really doing it always through an ethical lens. Harvey Mudd is still a liberal arts college, so students there do take 30% of their courses outside of STEM fields. But it is the most academically focused and narrow of the Claremont colleges in terms of the way it's structured and kind of what it celebrates and the academic opportunities that are available there. And then the last college in the consortium is Pittsburgh College, which was very much, anti-war, anti-Vietnam. The civil rights movement is a really big part of kind of Pittsburgh's history and legacy as an institution. So very much embracing that countercultural movement of that time period. And they live by core values such as intercultural understanding, environmental sustainability, shared governance, right? So there's a really big kind of emphasis of those different values that you can tangibly feel on their campus. So with the consortium, kind of the really big benefit of it, right, is that you just have more that's available to you, right? As a Pomona student, we have 1,700 students on our campus, but you have about 6,000 throughout the Claremont colleges. 600 courses on Pomona's campus, 2,500 courses throughout the consortium, right? All these different professors who have their different areas of expertise that, if you're a Pomona student and you want to understand what it's like to take, behavioral psychology at Scripps, go for it. You have the option to do that. And if a Scripps student wants to take adolescent psychology at Pomona, have at it, right? That's a really big part of the consortium. I'm just going to go briefly back to that slide because I think the numbers are definitely something people are always curious to see. So you have more intentional experts in different fields because the consortium kind of works in this system where it's not like a university where it's like a school for arts and sciences and a school for nursing and a school for business. All of our schools have a wide range of majors and programs, but the expertise is different from each school because of their unique histories and philosophies and environments that really do influence the way that they're structured, right? So it really just kind of creates for a more robust experience for you. 17 dining halls, right? That's an amazing option of the consortium, is to have different food options available to you all throughout the day. We also have one shared academic calendar. So I'd say at Pomona, about 99% of students are going to take at least one Claremont College course during their 4-year experience. You can take up to 40% of your courses off campus if you choose to do so. So this is a very intentional consortium. It's one where it's really not kind of opt in. It usually is kind of like opt out. You'd be very hard to find a student who hasn't engaged with all 5 of these schools during their time. And they're all going to engage with them differently, but that's a really big part of kind of what they're all about, right? So moving a little bit on, so definitely the faculty, as you can see here, this is Ken Wolf. He's an awesome professor of history, also does a lot of great classics work at Pomona. He really kind of is a big champion of kind of the consortium and what it means. Actually, his son used to work at Pittsburgh College, one of the Claremont Colleges, so there's a really great family connection there. And here's just some examples of some of the shared resources. So for example, we have a shared health facility across the 5 schools. The mental health counseling services are also shared between the 5 schools. All the groupings that you see in orange are different cultural affinity groups. That's also like if you identify as a queer student and you want to meet more people who are part of the LGBTQ plus community, the Queer Resource Center allows you to identify peers across 6,000 peers at the 5 schools that can be more people who have a commonality with you that you can bond with, right? We have a shared library, which is kind of like, I think it's the 3rd largest academic library in California. So that's super exciting to have that as a resource that's shared between the 5 schools. You can do research and internships across the different campuses as well. Same thing with study abroad. I know students at Pomona who've done study abroad programs through Claremont McKenna. Claremont McKenna also has an internship program where you are a full-time intern in either Washington, D.C. or in Silicon Valley. More Pomona students did that Washington, D.C. Claremont McKenna program last year than Claremont McKenna students. So just really the openness of the opportunities that the 5 schools represent is not just lip service. It's not just something that we say because it sounds exciting. Like it really is the day in and day out experience for our students. Same thing with athletics, right? We are the Pomona Pitzer Sage Hens, and our 6th Street rivals right across 6th Street where the different athletic field is Claremont McKenna, Harvey Mudd, and Scripps. So that just creates for like a really fun, student atmosphere where you can be having dinner in the same dining hall with your like arch rivals the day before a big game, right? And it's not like your rivals every day and that, every single time you go out, like you don't interact with students from the other schools. It really much is this kind of shared bonded environment. But the benefit of like having, I think this, exciting student experience is that there's fun ways to kind of really champion your own institution, but also you really love the idea of being part of the consortium and really love the idea of being able to engage with these different schools and really celebrate what they have to bring to the table. So I'm happy to talk more about what that's like as we go into the Q&A, but I definitely want to make sure that my lovely colleague Nicole from Mount Holyoke has some time to describe to you about their institution. I'm from Western Mass personally, so I love Mount Holyoke. So I'll go ahead and have her take it away.
Tom, thanks so much. And I was actually recently on Pomona's campus, and I have to say that I adore your campus and the consortium colleges there too. They're stunning. So hello, everyone. My name is Nicole Reynolds. I am Director of Enrollment Marketing and Communications and Senior Associate Director of Admission at Mount Holyoke College. Mount Holyoke is a private research liberal arts college for women located on 700 acres in stunning Western Massachusetts, where the fall color right outside my window is absolutely in full glory. We're about 90 minutes west of Boston, 3 hours from New York City. So Western Massachusetts, pretty idyllic. We're in the Connecticut River Valley. We are really proudly the first of the 7 sisters colleges. So founded at a time when there was no other college option for women. The only institutions open were the Ivy Leagues and they only admitted men. So our pretty radical founder, Mary Lyon, decided that women could and should do more than what society deemed was our highest calling at the time, which is to be wives and mothers. So she opened the doors in 1837 and our incoming class at Mount Holyoke had 12 students and they had to bring their own flatware. I'm very happy to report that today, none of our 2,200 students have to bring their own flatware to campus. And we're also a gender diverse and affirming institution, meaning that we accept students who identify as female, are female, non-binary, or trans students. So our students choose from among 48 majors at Mount Holyoke. Among them are, among the top majors are computer science, psychology, international relations, biology, and English. So it might be the case that some of you out there haven't yet considered a women's college, which is no surprise. Fewer than 2% of women in the US choose to attend one. It's definitely a bold choice, one for intellectually adventurous thinkers. Our focus at Mount Holyoke is to catalyze students' ambition and to cultivate it. We provide them the space and the tools to become risk takers, to develop their voice by speaking up and speaking out. We trust our students to carve their own paths at Mount Holyoke, and we support their journey through things like close faculty mentorship. So our student faculty ratio is 9-to-1 at Mount Holyoke, through interdisciplinary courses, through a curriculum nationally recognized for its global scope, through state-of-the-art facilities, and through rich funded research and internship opportunities, both local and global. The kind of students that we attract then are students who are seeking a front row learning experience. Students come to us because they're looking for living and learning environments where they won't run up against preconceived notions about what they can or should do by virtue of their gender or by any other facet of their identity, quite frankly. So, Emily Dickinson is one of ours. She benefited from our culture of empowerment, as did Frances Perkins, who was the first woman ever appointed to a presidential cabinet in the US, as did Jean Sammet, who developed the first widely used computer programming code in the United States. To offer a more general statement about Mount Holyoke outcomes, we are the #1 producer of women earning PhDs in the life sciences among all baccalaureate granting institutions in the US, and that's a 50-year statistic. So let's talk a little bit about the consortium because we are part of something bigger. We're known as the 5 College Consortium, and the 5 colleges in that consortium include Amherst College, which has 1,800 students, Hampshire College, which has 750 students, Mount Holyoke, we are 2,200 students, as I mentioned, Smith College has 2,500 students, and the University of Massachusetts Amherst has 23,000 undergraduate students. So with the exception of UMass Amherst, which is a public research university, we are all private liberal arts colleges. And like Mount Holyoke, Smith College is also a women's college and one of the original 7 sister colleges. We're all located in a 6-mile radius, and we are situated in 3 towns. So Amherst and Northampton, which are small cities of 40,000 and 30,000 respectively, and then South Hadley, which is a more suburban community of about 20,000. Our towns and schools are connected by the largest free bus system in the Northeast for students, so they can hop on, hop off, runs every 30 minutes. So this means that over the course of a week, a student might hike the Seven Sisters mountain range, catch a show at one of the area's many music or art venues, attend a seasonal festival on one of our commons, hit some of the thrift shops. We have great thrift shopping as well in our area, or enjoy some freshly made ice cream on a local dairy farm just outside of campus here. And that's all outside of the rich offerings that each of us host on our home campuses. So the 5 schools in our consortium, they've been cooperating for more than 50 years along sort of 2 parallel paths of collaboration. The first is combined resources. So combining resources allows us to pool faculty talent and funds to accomplish things that a single campus might not be able to support individually. So some examples include joint academic majors in dance, astronomy, and architectural studies. Each of our campuses, of course, has that major on their own, but by sharing faculty, it's a richer experience for many of our students. Our 5 college certificate programs are for cases in which a student becomes interested in studying an area not available on their home campus, either as a major or a minor. So they can work with a faculty advisor to develop a course of study and carry it out by taking courses across the consortium. We currently support 17 academic certificate programs in areas like cognitive science and queer, trans, and sexuality studies. Another example of combining resources is the 5 College Center for World Languages. It supports the study of 40 less commonly taught languages, from Albanian to Zulu, and provides native speaking conversation partners as well, which is really helpful for students who are preparing to go abroad. The 5 colleges also provide multiple joint opportunity to showcase student voices and work, from cultural conferences like the Indigenous Peoples Symposium in Powwow to joint student performances across the performing arts. We also host the largest 5 College Center for Gender and Sexuality Scholarship in the Northeast. There is a ton of scholarship coming out of that center. We also share resources across campuses, as the other institutions have mentioned. So sharing resources essentially extends academic, co-curricular, and social opportunities beyond each of our individual campuses. So students can cross-register in courses across the consortium at no additional cost. So Mount Holyoke has 500 classes a semester. You could open the 5 College catalog and choose from among 6,000 offerings a semester. And students at Mount Holyoke can take up to half their classes in the consortium colleges and still have it count back toward their degree. And that's a really robustly used resource, the academic piece. There are actually over 5,000 cross-registrations per year on all of our campuses. And some of the more popular cross-registered classes include Japanese 101, which is at Amherst College, American Sign Language, which is offered at Hampshire College, African Studies at Mount Holyoke, dance, and specifically improv and ballet at Smith, and an education class in philosophy in public schools, which is offered at UMass. So extracurricular exchange is as robust as our academic exchange. Theater and dance productions have open auditions, for example. Students can join clubs and orgs across campuses, and parties, dance performances, poetry slams, concerts, lectures, memberships in clubs, as I mentioned, they're open to students across all 5 colleges. And that free bus system makes all of those resources pretty easy to take advantage of. So I'll pause there because I see that we have about 10 more minutes for questions, and I want to be sure that you all have time for them.
So students, ideally, if you would put questions into our Q&A, we will each see them. If there are ones that can be easily answered in there, we will answer them in writing, but otherwise we'll speak up and farm them out to the appropriate person.
Bart, there was one on COVID, and I don't mind speaking to that a little bit.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks.
So I know at Gettysburg, I feel like we're better together. So we tried to bring everyone back, all 2,000 plus.
Courtney,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Could you repeat? I'm not sure that everybody I'm not sure
Oh.
everyone can see the question, so you should
Okay.
probably make sure we know what it is.
Sure. Okay. This is a great question, and it's asking us, do we have long-term plans for learning during COVID-19? Should it continue into the next few years? So I think it's a great question. I think just as high schools across the world and colleges across the world, it's kind of this month to month, what's going on and how healthy are we? At Gettysburg, we tried to bring everyone back in the fall because we wanted to have everyone together, and first test was 5 positive, and then 3 weeks later, a few clubs and organizations were not following protocol, and it went to 33 and then 60, and then we said, okay, we need to de-densify campus. So right now we currently have 900 students on campus, 30 students studying abroad in Washington, DC, France, Germany, England, and China. We're following those students abroad as well, following those cases in those countries. And then the rest are learning remotely. I think we're really looking ahead to the spring and hoping by next fall, everything will be back to normal. But again, we have this kind of hybrid model in place, and this is for the safety of our students and our faculty. It's really important for our first years to be on campus, just so they get to have that first year experience tied into their first year seminar, living on campus and all of that. So that will not change. If we are in the same place we are today next fall, I imagine we'll have this hybrid model, having part of our students on campus and part of them working remotely. But I think it's going to be let's touch base in the spring and see what's happening.
And if I could just say, add a little bit to that, Courtney, I would say that on all of our campuses, right, the private research liberal arts campus is a place where the residential experience is so paramount to this sort of full and rich experience. So while we all have hybrid models that are striving to deliver a similar effect and certainly the kind level of rigor that our students are used to, and we're all sort of pivoting to bring co-curricular activities into this virtual space as well, I think that the sooner we can all get back to campus together, and we have to just really figure out how to balance that. Like all of you, everywhere you are, we have to figure out how to balance that with the other mandate, which is the safety of our community members. So I think we're all still working out those plans, but our eyes are on the prize, which is getting all of our students back to campus in the safest way possible.
I can also speak if needed, but I just know for time's sake, it might be best to move on to other questions because I see there's a lot in here.
Yeah,
I've been trying to type some of the ones that are Claremont specific, so.
I see one that I think applies to everybody. And if applying to a consortium, does it matter which college you apply to within it? Why pick one over another? So I think distinguishing that would be great.
Yeah, I can go ahead. We get this question a lot with the Claremont colleges because sometimes there's a lot of confusion about, well, why would it matter which one I go to if I can just have all 5 in my back pocket? And there's a degree of truth to that answer, right? The sheer reality is that it is an intentional consortium. It is 1 square mile of 5 undergraduate schools and 2 graduate schools. So the whole idea of the system, if you like the system of Claremont and you like that environment, it's true that by and large, most academic programs and offerings are going to be available to you no matter which campus you go to. However, they each have different histories and philosophies. And that's why I spent the beginning of that talk talking about, what our values are, kind of what the student body is like, what the environment is like. And it's not to say that you can't, benefit from any of that as your time as a student, but it's about kind of finding the fit in terms of where you feel the most called to. And it's not that you can only pick one. It's not like a marriage proposal and you're like, oh, I only can apply to one because there's only gonna be one that's a good fit for me. There might be many reasons as to why you're called to several of these different institutions. And if you like the system that it's a part of and you like what's available to it, it definitely is worth exploring and doing some individual sessions at these different campuses to learn more about their own histories, their own philosophies, because the more you hear about that, the more you think, okay, I really feel like I can see myself as part of this community. And I love the other benefits that come along with it that come by being part of this consortium. So yes, you absolutely can. It does, I think, matter, which ones you're going to apply to, because it will influence, I think, just like your overall student experience. But yes, it is very true that you can apply to multiple, and you don't have to just pick one that you maybe want to apply to. If you like the idea of the consortium that a school might be a part of, it's your prerogative to apply to as many or as little as you decide.
I think that probably is distinct at each place. Maybe or all 3 of our panelists, I think, would answer in a similar manner. This is a different topic. Has COVID-19 affected the accessibility of using different courses at the multiple schools? Maybe Nicole, you might start with that, and then.
There was some shifting. I mean, I think that each of our different consortium campuses did try to align what we were doing when we were opening, the kinds of models that we would offer, and we're all offering hybrid models at the moment. So it's my understanding that students are still able to have consortium colleges. They're just attending them in that hybrid way, mostly online at the moment. I think that the University of Massachusetts, which is our flagship university, has students who needed to be in their STEM labs on campus. That was who they prioritized bringing back. So there's a little bit of a distinction there, but otherwise students are still using the consortium just in the online format.
I was just going to say, we've been able to continue with some of our stuff virtually, like some of our conferences that we've been able to move them all virtually. We've done a lot of job fairs and internship fairs virtually together. So we're still continuing with that. It's just, again, this shift into the virtual world. We can't do quite everything, like physically attending classes for our first years. That's not happening, but our students can still go virtually and attend classes at Dickinson or Franklin and Marshall, as well as our ROTC program. They're training, but they're training a little bit differently.
probably have time to tackle this. This might be specific or different at each of your places, but can you explain the internship and co-op programs offered within the consortium programs and whether students participate during semesters or between semesters?
Sure. Yeah, I can touch on it a little bit. It's very open-ended. So at all the Claremont colleges, and you know, we all have different career centers and dean of students office that put together different research and internship programs. But by and large, you can do opportunities at the other campuses. So I know, like Michelle Lee, one of our students who graduated last year from Palo Alto High School, she was a math major at Pomona, one of our more popular majors. She did math research over the summer, though, at Harvey Mudd in their labs. So, and vice versa, there have been students who've done projects on Pomona's campus. A lot of it depends on talking with professors that you build relationships with across the different campuses. So many of them aren't even through these formal programs, and they often come from organic bonds that you form with faculty that you get to connect with, no matter which campus you do actually live on. And like I mentioned in my overview, we have that program that Claremont McKenna offers, where you do either a Silicon Valley internship or a Washington DC internship. And if more Pomona students did it, like, it's very telling about kind of the openness of those opportunities across the schools. So yeah, hopefully that gives a little bit of clarity about how it works. There are going to be, certain stipulations and certain things that are, individual school specific, that they're, reserving their resources for that individual institution. But if you looked at a pie chart of opportunities and were to do like, what's the vast majority, are the vast majority available to all five? And the answer is yes.
Bart, you're muted.
Bart, you're
Yeah,
muted.
sorry. I think we're just about out of time. So I don't know, I thank all of our panelists and really appreciate this. I know that speaking to the students and families directly, any of these three would be more than happy to carry on these conversations with you outside of this time, both about their individual schools programs and about the consortiums that they're part of. Thank you, panelists, so much. We really appreciate it.
Yes, I concur. Thank you to our panelists, and thank you to Bart and Noel for representing the Seattle Area Independent Schools Organization to help bring this presentation and program to life. We really appreciate it. As we're coming down to our final end for all of our attendees, we just wanted to say thank you for joining us. Thank you to our panelists and presenters for sharing so much about their schools, but also the amazing opportunities by attending a consortium school. After you close your window, there's going to be a quick link or a link to a quick 4-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback that you can provide. Also, this is just one of many sessions being hosted, so we hope that you'll be joining us for other SAIS programming, as well as being able to review and see other college programming and recordings on our website. In about a week's time, you'll see this recording, as well as the other session recordings, available at the same site where you signed up. So we hope you'll check those out. Again, thank you for spending some of your time with us today, and we hope everyone is doing well. Thank you so much. And good night, or afternoon, actually. Goodbye.